Hello, I'm Jonathan Josephson. Would love for you to watch this video to learn about my theater company, Unbound Productions. Unbound Productions is my theater company that I'm the artistic director of right now. We started producing in 2008. Before that, I was a literary director at the Chance Theater. And while I wasn't producing, I was involved in a lot of levels of production and just watching everything go. And before that, I was in college and I was producing plays there. And the leap from playwright or sort of do-it-all theater person to producing, um, some of it is sheer foolishness of of this seems like it'll be fun, and parts of it, of course, are very fun, but it's a huge amount of work. But the big thing is, and there's other told this story many times, but when you find the right collaborators, and for me that was Paul Millay and Jeff Rack, and Paul was given the keys to a nonprofit theater that hadn't been operating for decades, and he tapped me and Jeff to say, "Hey, let's make something special. Let's do something unique." And his idea was to do literary adaptations of horror stories that would be great for Halloween. And it was really fun. We just got together to do it to see what all would happen. Not totally sure what the future would hold. As it worked out, it became that we had a site-specific immersive venue opened up for us. We produced a show there. We had no idea what we were doing, made a lot of mistakes, produced 5 performances. They sold out the week before we opened and said, okay, we have something right here. And 10 years later, we were running 7 weeks, 40 some odd performances, sold out every single one for 7 or 8 years running. Won a lot of awards, and it was really great. But it was really just the idea, again, of finding a way to come together, tell stories together, tell the kinds of stories we were interested in, tell stories that other people weren't, from a bunch of different perspectives. And that was really it. It was good people, good time, a measured amount of time commitment before it took over our lives, and it was really great. Unbound Productions definitely has a unique style and approach to theater, which we've been cultivating for more than a decade. And we are very much active. We're just quiet right now. We produce adaptations of timeless stories as immersive theater events. And then adaptation loosely defined, timeless story loosely defined, immersive loosely defined. We do like to tick all those boxes and everything, and certainly the quintessential Unbound show is very clear in what that means. Wicked Lit is our big show. We've won a whole bunch of Ovation Awards. That was the show that has, before this year, had sold out. I think it was 7 years, every single ticket for every single performance. A typical Wicked Lit production is comprised of 3 short adaptations, 30 to 40 minutes, of a classic horror story. And for the last 10 years, we've been at Mountain View Mausoleum, where audience members are guided by actors to 3 different discrete parts of the grounds, where they'll watch 3 different plays as the actors move all around them, as the location in the cemetery or the mausoleum lends itself to the stories being told. And then connecting those 3 independent plays together, we have a 4th piece that's called The Frame, which is a bit more engaging and interactive with the audience. That's the pre-show. We have 2 intervals over the course of the evening, and then a wrap-up curtain call. And you have hosts who are your guides through the evening, and they have their own sub-stories, and they have activities that you might do with them as an audience member. They also promote our membership, and they promote our fundraisers and things like that. So it's a fun aspect of the show that overall is really pretty dark. We're adapting Edgar Allan Poe and H.P. Lovecraft, but also folk tales from all around the world, classic myths. It's all an adaptation of one sort or another, meaning that it has source material of some kind. The source material can be much more literal and direct. The source material can be more of an idea and thematic. But somewhere it does have that source material that puts it into a time and place that connects this play not only to the past because it's set in the past, but because it has a point of view or an author in the past. Sometimes our plays engage with that point of view and say, this isn't what we want to tell anymore, so we want to put a spin on it, and that's our version, our adaptation. Sometimes we're loyal to the original point of view as a way of probing and asking questions. We are in a mausoleum and cemetery. It does have a very fun, lively atmosphere. I describe the show as a mix between a new play festival and a Halloween spectacular. So people do come and have a lot of fun, but we also hope that we're probing with our storytelling. We're asking difficult questions. We're leaving people with a lot to think about, with emotions and complexity. In addition to Wicked Lit, we also have a Mystery Lit series where we produced our only evening-length play, a 2-hour Sherlock Holmes mashup that I wrote that was actually a combination of 3 different Sherlock Holmes stories with 3 different Sherlock Holmes characters, and you followed the 3 Sherlock Holmes simultaneously. And that was at the Los Angeles Arboretum, which was an incredible location. There's a historic train station and a beautiful setting over there. And we also have a History Lit series, which are plays that reflect history in creative ways. And that's the most socially conscious thing that we've ever produced. It has a lot more, even though they're public domain and they're classic going back to the mid-19th century, a lot more questions about everything from racism and police brutality to postpartum depression, gender politics, and family politics, raising kids, the role of imagination in a practical world. There's a lot of heavier stuff in that. And so between all of those different projects that we do, different cycles, we've produced about 42 world premiere plays, and then have developed another couple dozen from playwrights, almost all local. We really like our playwrights to be involved in the process, whether it's a development process or a production process. I think we've had one playwright who's from Northern California, but almost everyone else is local. And also with our development process, we work with expressly new directors and new collaborators so that we are finding ways to work with new people all the time. And we're proud to say that our new play development from the beginning, we've been 100% committed to gender parity. We've just made that decision that half the playwrights, it would be split between men and women. We have yet to have the opportunity to work with a gender fluid or non-gendered playwright. We're certainly looking forward to that. But we have both with playwrights and directors that we're making sure that it's at least half or fewer men to provide more opportunities. And that's proved itself to do exactly what the proponents of that approach has said. By simply providing the opportunities and bringing more people to have seats at the table, we're finding collaborators that we probably wouldn't have gotten to work with had we not just made that blanket statement. And then inevitably, what moves on from the early process to our public process, or our public process to being fully produced, that really there's a lot of different things that go into that decision making. But starting at the base by having a pool that has some parity required has really done a lot for us and opened our eyes to a lot of different things. One of the things that Unbound Productions has been really focused on is not just our plays and our productions, but really making sure that we lay some great track for all of our artists to have support in their creative careers moving forward. We do certain things for actors, inviting casting directors and things like that. Another initiative that we're really proud of is that we have 2 published anthologies with stage rights. Each collection has 9 short plays that we have produced at least once. Some of them we've produced multiple times by 5 different playwrights. And the goal with that was to continue to have those plays be produced and seen all over the world. And a lot of them have been, which is really great. We've had productions of plays that started with Wicked Lit in Scotland, in Japan, and Canada. There was a high school that did a mini Wicked Lit. They did 2 plays in a cavern in Indiana. So they kind of took our site-specific approach and they did it that way. And several times a year, people are producing Wicked Lit plays in all kinds of different places. And we see that as a way, of course, to get the word out about Wicked Lit and Unbound, but it's really about our playwrights who we work with. Most of our plays in the early years were written by the three founders of the company. But as we've developed and broadened our circle, we've been able to work with a bunch of really talented writers. Some plays that were written for Unbound, it was the first play that the writer had ever written. For some, they've had dozens of plays produced and many plays published before. But those plays are Wicked Lit Volume 1 and Wicked Lit Volume 2 are on Amazon, or you can get them at Stage Rights. And then Legends of Sleepy Hollow is also something that originated with Unbound as developed by Unbound Productions, but was originally produced by Chance Theater and has been produced a couple of other times. So there's a Wicked Lit collection that we've been cultivating, and at some point we'll work on Wicked Lit Volume 3. There's a lot of plays to choose from, but it's a really great thing. It's also been wonderful as just a take-home that people who come to the show and they say, I want to reread the stories, I want to reread the plays, they can buy the collection and spend some more time with it. And it's happened that patrons will reach out to us and they'll say, I read your play and then I read the original story, and why you changed these things. Can you tell me more about that? And it's like, it's just me. And like, so you reach out to me through my website and I'm like, I'll tell you whatever you want about my adaptation of Legend of Sleepy Hollow or Anansi and the Demons or whatever it is. So it's been really great to have something that lives on and that patrons can enjoy and continues to support playwrights. Our new play development program, which is called First Stab, is currently on hold, but only because we've been on hold with everything. We will continue First Stab next year. And the way that generally works is we have a submission period from January to March where people can send us plays. And then based on those submissions, some we line up for full production, most we line up for development. And from what you've submitted during that time period, we may ask you to work with us in First Stab. And we keep those plays. So year after year, we say, okay, well, maybe not this person this year, but remember he wrote this thing 2 years ago. He didn't even send us anything this year. Let's ask him to be in First Stab, for example. And there's been between 6 and 12 playwrights that we've worked with each year for, I guess, 3 years. I think I said 5 earlier. It's been 3 years. So next year will be the 4th year. I'm really looking forward to 2021 for Unbound Productions. This year's been a challenging year for, I will say, all of us. I was going to say pretty much all of us, but I'm going to say all of us. In the theater or otherwise, it's been a challenging year. Between the pandemic and a lot of other things, there's been a lot to wrestle with, and some of that work is good, but most of it is just really, really hard. We want to get back to full production. We do have venues lined up where we can do our immersive, fully staged work. We'll just have to wait and see exactly how things are health-wise. But our expectation is by October 2021, we'll be able to do a full Wicked Lit production as we had been. Generally, I cling by the fingernails to whatever optimism I can muster. But man, we've got a lot of work to do before the end of the year, and 2021 can only be better, I assume. But things surprise us every day.